Ibrahim Traore asked them a serious question which all of them failed to answer. He said, a group of young people stormed political conference in Niger. A date was set by Ibrahim Traore to return the nation back to civilian rule. John Dramani Mahama is making a call to win back the trust of the youth. Welcome, wonderful, lovely people. Thank you for joining and stopping by. I appreciate you. If you are on board already, you know how we do it. Just click the like button, and if you're not part of the family, you just have to do that. Subscribe to be part of the family. Today we are in the Sahel. We are in Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, but the conversation actually centered around Niger, but it involved Mali, Burkina Faso, and even include Ghana in the process. African youth, especially the youth in the Sahel, are so awake to the level where they are no longer interested. They are not ready to accept the politicians, the democratic politicians, pouring sand on their faces. The youth in the Sahel are going wild. You see, there is a pressure on the military government in the Sahel, both Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. African youths have lost complete faith in democracy, but the youth in the Sahel are doing the most out of it. Today, it is the youth in the Sahel versus the politicians in the Sahel. The military leaders are no longer engaging in this conversation of trying to explain to people whether they need to stay in office longer or leave office in a short period of time. No, the conversation about the duration of their ruling is completely hijacked and taken over by the youth in the Sahel. Currently, there is protest in Niger. The youth stormed the politicians in their conference room where they were deliberating on how to persuade or push the narrative and the agenda for the military government to return the country back to civilian rule. The youth went there. They spoke in French. You know, this place, I mean, so far as French is concerned, I'm a French student. I don't depend on AI for French translation. I will translate everything to you perfectly, accurately. So relax. They got in there and won the politicians, and their request is wild. And they even added a very strong proverb in French. I will try my best to decode what these youth are trying to tell the politicians by using proverb. And I will leave the rest for you in the family house, which is the comment section, so that you too, you enlighten us on this particular proverb that these youth, brave youth, pour on the politicians in their gatherings. African politicians are pretending like they are not seeing the growing dissatisfaction in the youth. They are pretending. The president of Togo is pretending. Cameroon president is pretending. The president of Congo is pretending. Uganda president is pretending. Okay, Museveni is not a democratic leader. That guy. He has his own system of governance. Leave Museveni out of this. He is not a democratic leader. But you see, Sierra Leone president is pretending. All of them. Apparently, there is only one political leader who I can say that he have come to this realization that the youth are losing so much interest. And he openly, acknowledged this. And this is the only leader when, after he assumed office, he started warning the rest of the political leaders, even telling them that their democratic governance is questionable, warning them about the dissatisfaction of the youth in democracy. And that democratic leader is the current president of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama. At two solid occasions, Mahama made this call. I'll play those short clips as we move along. I'm not going to stay long here. We are going to make it short. The recent surge in military takeovers across Africa, particularly in these three countries, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, it has sparked intense debate over the future of democratic governance on the continent of Africa. While international organizations and local politicians are pushing for a return to democracy, a growing number of young Africans are resisting these efforts, insisting that military rules have been more effective than the failed democratic system of the past, and they prefer the military rule. You all could remember this, and it is a well-known fact that since the military takeover in Mali 2021, Burkina Faso 2022, Niger 2023, the international community led by ECOWAS, the African Union, the United Nations, they have consistently demanded a return to civilian rule. Sanctions, diplomatic isolations, and economic restrictions have been imposed on these three nations to pressure the military government into organizing elections and restoring democratic governance. Fortunately for us, the military leaders are standing their ground with the full support backing them, the support of the Gen Z youths behind them. Additionally, local politicians, many of whom were part of the previous democratic government, have been actively lobbying for transition back to civilian leadership. Why? Because as the military leaders are on board, these politicians are no longer having the corrupt cake to eat. They want democracy that can be able to allow them to use the resources of the nations to enrich themselves and impoverish the people. Use the poverty of the people to borrow money. Use that money to enrich themselves and then change the figures in their bank account. Conferences, political forums, and roundtable discussions have been held to push this agenda of returning the country back to civilian rule or democratic rule. In Burkina Faso, for instance, these corrupt politicians pushed Traoré to return the nation back to civilian rules. As for him, you know him already. He told them straight to the face, it is because of us, the military leaders on board, you are no longer having the access to the corrupt cake. That is the only reason why you guys are pushing us to return the nation back to civilian rule. It has nothing to do with leadership. It has everything to do with yourself. It has nothing to do with the people. It's about yourself. They pushed this until it got to the level where Ibrahim Traoré asked them a serious question which all of them failed to answer. He said, which is more important, organizing election or developing the nation? They could not answer him. It even got to some time where a date was set by Ibrahim Traoré to return the nation back to civilian rule, and this is supposed to happen in May 2024. But guess what happened? The youth came up and said, Pawo, them no go agree. They are not ready for this nonsense. The youth said they are extending the military rules to another 5 years. If the military leaders during this period still maintain the priority of the nation or the national interest, then they will extend it again. And when the politicians realize that the youth are no longer paying attention to them, then they devise a trick. And some of the ministers wanted to sabotage the plan of Ibrahim Traoré. Instead of working and performing their duty to the benefit of the people, for the people to see how well the military leaders are performing, they wanted to do delay work and do poor work so that the youth can go win against the military government. Ibrahim Traoré quickly noticed and called them meeting. They came and say, hey, you people relax. I am not a politician. Me, I'm a military leader. I don't talk. We want to see action. You are here to fulfill the need of the people. I am not a politician that I will take you to court and use 5 years to prosecute you. No. Back, we are done with you. So steady yourself and get the right thing done. And all of them became steady. In Mali, same thing happened. The youth of Mali are wild. They are practically on fire. In Mali, at some point, the politicians were having so much platform to degrade, trying to incite the public against them. They thought the youth in the Sahel are like some Ghanaian youth who go about defending their political parties, even when they are destroying their nation. The youth were watching them from one angle. They were telling them in their mind, you people, you don't know, you people relax. They are watching them with one eye. The military leaders also doesn't want to take so much action against the politicians because they don't want people to start accusing them of adopting people and silencing people. That is what the Western media is practically doing to them. So they are being careful in this angle. Then in a surprise move, guess what happened? The youth of Mali protested and called on the military government to silence all the politicians and to regulate their interference in the affair of the country. I'm telling you, I was shocked. And the military leaders took action because they are there for the people. What the people want is what they do. With all being said, we are now dealing with similar issue in Niger right now. A group of young people stormed political conference in Niger. I'll play the video right now. They disrupted whatever useless conversation they are having in there, boldly declaring that they prefer military rule for the next 10 years. They argue with the politicians that the military government has delivered far better than them. They were only looting the nation. Lovely people, check across Africa and what is happening in democratic countries. Across Africa right now, frustration with democratic governance has reached unprecedented level. Many young Africans today see democracy not as a system that benefits them, but as a system that enriches select few while leaving the masses in poverty, unemployment, and insecurity. Over the years, elections have been marred by corruption, vote rigging, and political manipulation. This is the frustration that has led to the increasing willingness among the youth to embrace alternative form of governance, including military rule. John Dramani Mahama is making a call to win back the trust of the youth, that at least for once, let the youth trust democracy again. Amidst this rising tension, John Dramani Mahama has emerged as the only African leader who openly acknowledges the dissatisfaction of the African youth with democracy. During his inauguration speech, Mahama boldly stated, if democracy is truly the best system of governance, then it must work for the people. It must provide job security and prosperity, not just for the elite, but for every African citizens. Now, look at the beginning of the statement. If democracy is truly the best system of governance, he threw shade at the democratic leaders because Ibrahim Traore was at the meeting and all of them are rejecting and condemning Ibrahim Traore at that time, that military government is not the best system of governance. So he is questioning them. If democracy is the best, this is how it's supposed to go. Mahama's statement is a direct challenge to African political class, urging them to move beyond just talk and take meaningful action to restore the faith of the youth in democracy. Even at the African Prosperity Dialogue, he urged them to win back the trust of the youth.
Our youth are getting tired and frustrated at the lack of opportunity for realizing their dreams and aspirations. Our decision to embrace democratic governance was supposed to be accompanied by a dividend that will lead to improvement in the lives of our people and prosperity for all. Unfortunately, progress in this regard has been sluggish and largely intangible. If we are to maintain the faith and trust of our citizens in democratic and constitutional governance, we must accelerate our rates of economic growth, expand investment, and provide employment opportunities for our young people. As leaders, therefore, we must reaffirm our commitment to strengthening democratic institutions and ensuring free, fair, and transparent elections.
You see, he mentioned free and fair election. The Cameroon president and the Togo president, they are there. All of them who are in office, Let's leave this and then enter Niger. Regarding the question of duration, as I told you earlier, the politicians were having their conversation and the youth step in, and the leader of the youth pick up the microphone and started. And this is what he said. He said a lot of things, but I decided to cut this important place for you. Regarding the question of duration, let it be clear to you that we are not ready to continue with democratic or traditional politics. It is because the traditional or democratic politics has failed. Democracy has shown its limit. That is why we are still stuck in the same place without moving forward as a nation. That is even another reason why we are still in this room right now. This is why the military must be given the necessary time to handle our issues. We, the youth, are determined for the military to go as far as 10 years. So after saying this guy, he added the parable. Now he said, when we plant a new tree, we take responsibility for it. And we do so to understand why we assume that responsibility. Thank you. Guys, this proverb is wild. I can try my best to decode it. This is how I understand it. When you plant the tree, you don't expect to see and enjoy the fruit immediately. Neither do you enjoy the shade or the shadow of it. You must nurture it, take care of it, make some sacrifices and wasting some time on it until it grows into its full potential before you enjoy the fruit. And you must keep nurturing it with understanding that even if you die and leave the scene or you leave the tree, your children will come and eat the fruit and enjoy the shade or the shadow of it. So even if the work that the military government is doing right now is not going to benefit them in their present age, the next generation will come and enjoy it. That's what they're trying to tell them. So they should put their greed of getting today's own away. That is what the young man is telling them, according to my understanding. But lovely people, I know you have different understanding and interpretation to this proverb. So let's meet in the comment section and tell me what exactly you think about this particular proverb. It's powerful.